What up?
What up? We are DV.
That's right.
In case you don't already know this, they call me Twin. He goes
Also
by Twin
Twin
as well. So yeah, today is motherfucking Sunday. April, I'm tripping. April what?
I want to say April 6th.
April 6th.
One of them.
Yeah, something like that. 2025. I'm tripping. So yeah, for real, man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you tuning it in. I'm grateful to be here, man. It's another beautiful day out here in Long Beach, as you can see. Very blessed. Yeah. And we on the way.
Topic we're talking about today is mental health, right? We live in Los Angeles. I see a lot of mental health issues going on around here, right? I see a lot of mental health issues going around in the world, period, especially here in America. But what I really want to get specific about is mental health within the POC community. Addressing mental health issues within the POC community. What's POC, if you're asking? That's people of color, right? I'm talking about my black people, I'm talking about my Hispanics, and I'm talking about my Asians, right? I'm talking about mental health within this community specifically because I see, and you can do your statistics on it, but what I can see is it's more of a stigma with us. There's a big stigma with us, you know? It's a lot of us in our communities, within our families, we don't want to address it, you know, for whatever reasons, which we'll get into some of those reasons in a little bit. But if you are a person of color, I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm saying. There's definitely a little bit more of a stigma when it comes to addressing mental health within our community, right? Fuck, let's move on. There's kids in the way. It's cool. But yeah, what I was saying is, like, as far as mental health issues, right? In people of color, it's an issue, you know? It's an issue everywhere, but if you're a person of color, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm saying. It's a lot of people don't want to address it. A lot of people don't even acknowledge it, right? Don't even acknowledge it. I remember as a kid knowing that we had a cousin and that had some, you know, what I look back now on is saying that he really just he was depressed. But they just thought he was a weirdo, you know, they just thought he was weird, you know, treated him like he was weird instead of addressing the fact that maybe this man needs somebody to speak to, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's an issue, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. You got any personal stories about as far as mental health?
Yeah, I got personal stories because, for one, I live in LA, and a lot of stuff I see just passing by, going from place to place. You see, I mean, it's really big, you know, with the people that are unhoused, people that don't have homes, the people that sleep outside. A lot of them aren't necessarily there because they have mental health issues, but they tend to have them. So I see that all the time. But I spend a lot of time in the mental health field. I dealt with all types of different types of mental illnesses, you know, from a lot of it's schizophrenia, you know, and a lot of that, what comes with that is a lot of episodes of mania and confusion, and a lot of times it's aggressive. A lot of physical aggression comes with that, particularly the job that I work. You know, a lot of physical aggression. Sometimes people have outbursts, and you know, but what I realize is that the common thread is that we're all people, and even people that have mental illnesses and do weird shit or seemingly weird shit that we don't understand doesn't mean they're not going through real shit, and it doesn't mean that they're any different than you in terms of being a human being. We have the same needs and wants as a human being. Yeah, this person may be doing some shit that you ain't never seen before, and you can't understand what it is they're talking about, but they really going through something real, so try to understand that. And they have the same needs as you too. They may not express it the same way, but they do. In regards to the stigma that comes with it, especially in communities like ours that we come from, I just feel like we tend to just kind of, like, especially if it's directly within our family, like if it's in our immediate family, say we got an uncle or something that is schizo or something, and he's our whole life we see him say things that we just don't quite understand, or he operates in ways we just ain't never seen before. We tend to just be like, you know,
judgmental. We judge a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. Sometimes people in some families just like, it is what it is, we still love them. But then you got some people that like that see that in their family and they judge them. Especially, I from my personal opinion, it's even worse within a family that's like super religious. If they're super religious and they have somebody that's just mentally unstable or has some type of mental illness, they tend to just say, let God deal with it, or that's the devil. You know, they throw it on the devil and they just let it be. But the problem doesn't necessarily get dealt with. You know what I mean? It's not really something that they like to delve into because of their religious beliefs, or out of fear of judgment for their religious beliefs. You know?
Right.
I think that's why. A lot of families, especially within, the people of color, minorities, if you will, if you want to call it that.
Right.
We have that way of dealing with it. We just put it on our God, and let God deal with it.
Right.
When nothing wrong with that, because I believe in that. But what about when
that can help as an addition? You know what I'm saying?
But what about the more practical approach? Like, okay, ask some questions.
Right.
What happened? What happened? Where did we go wrong?
Right.
What happened to you? And at what stage in your life?
Instead of that boy just needs Jesus.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because likely what you might find if you ask the right questions and you ask them what happened, like you ask them about some shit from when they was a kid. What type of trauma did you go through?
Right.
If you get down to the bottom of that, you probably get a really good start. Because that way you can just watch their patterns and see what they do every day.
Right.
What are they doing when they end up in this particular position,
right,
or this type of mental state they start getting into.
Right.
You know what I mean? For example, like I've used my own self in my own self-destructive ways. I see that as a mental illness.
For sure.
I have a tendency to be self-destructive. Haven't in a while, thank God. I'm so grateful that I've had the discipline to stay focused enough to not fall back into these type of mental states where I'm just self-destructive and I stop taking care of myself and I start doing things to sabotage myself. I've done this. This was an old pattern of mine. It was a life pattern. I would do this. I've now viewed that as a form of mental illness, as a form of lack of self-esteem. I think it stems from issues of self-worth.
Right.
I linked those type of behaviors from things that happened to me from my childhood, because a lot of times the stuff we go through as children is when, especially if it's traumatic, those are the things that impact your mental state in the most, not just your mental state, but your outlook, your perspective, the way you see yourself, the way you see the world, your emotional state, your triggers, the way you respond. Those things are all shaped by the things that happen to you as a child, because that's what wires your brain. You're going to be hardwired. It's a term called hardwiring. What that term means is you've been impacted in a way from childhood. It made such an impact on you. Now you have a certain way of thinking or way of viewing things.
Right.
Because of that event, that particular event in your life.
Right.
And that's just the way you see the world now. That's the not the totality of it, but it's literally like the template lens of the way you see the world.
It definitely deeply shapes your reality.
Yes.
And shapes the trajectory of your life. It definitely shapes that.
Absolutely.
It plays a big part of it. It influences, I'll say.
It does. It does influence the way you see the world.
Yeah. I want to share a personal story with us, with our little brother. All right. This is something that's kind of recent, actually. I won't get into too much details, but I will say we have a little brother that we hadn't seen for years anyway, right? We hadn't been in contact with him for years since he was a child, basically. But recently, my father was telling me. Our father at the time was no longer alive, but when he was alive, he was closer to our little brother. He was closer to him, and he was telling me a story about, hey, your little brother. He told me, he said, your little brother, he literally is in the hospital now because he attempted to commit suicide. I won't say how, but he attempted to commit suicide, and
he tried to unalive himself.
He tried, however you want to say it. That he did that, and he ended up. It was while he was at work, and he ended up having to go to the mental health hospital. And long story short, when they found out the reasons why he did it, it was a cry for help. This whole time he was dealing with schizophrenia, and no one even spoke on that. No one helped him with that. He said he wanted help, but no one was listening. He did that for help. Why? Because like I was just touching on, even in the black community, black American community, probably just all over, black British, black Canadian, wherever. But I know, especially with black Americans, we tend to try to ignore those kind of issues when it comes to those kind of stuff. And that's pretty much what happened. He told his mom, told my dad, but no one really heard him, apparently. He wasn't able to communicate that enough to get help. So he did what he did. He made that attempt, and that got some attention. But now, I don't know if so at that point he was sent to jail, because for what happened was from that point when he did that at work, he also tried to, from what I heard, set his apartment on fire. So for arson. So he went to jail for arson, right? But ultimately, all that was a cry for help is what I'm trying to get at. He went to that extreme to try to get some help because no one was listening, right? We weren't paying attention to the signs, right? We overlooked the signs and said, that boy fine. He's just a little odd, he's a little weird, you know what I mean? And it was some bigger issues than that. So that's just one example I'm saying about why I'm speaking on mental health issues within the POC community, because I know if it's happening within the Black community, it's happening in the Hispanic community because I've seen it. It's happening in the Asian community because I've seen it. At least here in America, I've seen it. So that's why I'm specifying that area of mental health. It's something that, like I said, it's overlooked so much, and we got to pay more attention to it. Because, like I said, that's just a personal story of how I've seen how it's ignored and how it's overlooked, you know, or how it's not even dealt with, you know. We see it every day in the city, where people look at these so-called crazy people as criminals, you know what I mean? And a lot of times these symptoms that they're seeing are deeper issues, as opposed to just want to act a fool and bother you and disrupt your little perfect life, you know? These are people looking for help, you know? But it's overlooked a lot of times, and they look at them as criminals, you know? And the crimes that they're committing a lot of times are side effects of the mental health that we all ignore it. I work at a mental health hospital, and I see it every day, that a lot of times these people get put in there because of something they did. And they'll tell me their personal story. They'll tell me, I only did that so I could get some help. So someone will pay attention to me that I needed help. You know, I broke into that car because the voices told me to do it. But no one knew I was even schizophrenic. You know, I wasn't on medication. So now here they are in jail, incarcerated because of a mental health issue that could have been stopped. It could have been prevented. You know? Go ahead.
That reminds me of something too, where a lot of times people are just struggling. They're just basically, what's the term, white knuckling their mental illnesses. And when I say mental, it don't always have to be extreme as something like schizophrenia. It could be anxiety, depression. You know what I mean? That's a very common one. A lot of people in America deal with that.
I've dealt with it.
Now, I have.
I used to be one of the people that I used to talk. I'm not to interrupt, but I used to be one of the people who didn't believe in depression. I was one of them until it happened to me. So it's real.
Right. So yeah, a lot of people go through that. I mean, they're going through it now, and they don't even understand that they're going through it. They just think they're just a part of just everyday life. And the reality is, the things that you're going through, that you're struggling through to try to get through, try to normalize, it doesn't have to be your normal. There's a way to deal with it, but you have to address the actual core part of why you keep going through it. You know, it doesn't have to be your normal. You don't have to struggle every day through your anxiety. You don't have to push through and struggle with your depression every day. It doesn't have to be that way. But you do have to be honest with yourself, and you do have to take the first step. You have to address it. You have to address it honestly.
Right.
You have to fucking be brave enough to want to look inside and see where the causes are. Where did it start? Where did your story go wrong? Where did it go left?
Right.
Where did the person that you used to be go?
How did you get there?
You know, when you used to be this happy person that wanted to wake up every day full of life, looking for excitement, looking for the next new thing, looking for the next thrill, the new love, you know, the next joy, the new inspiration. All these things come with being a very happy, healthy person, a balanced person. But we sometimes get off track because of life, and we get into certain patterns and we get thrown off, and then it leads to paths like depression and anxiety, you know, and wanting to take yourself off the planet, you know. And on that subject, I completely understand. I've been there. I've had these thoughts before, you know, because the pressure can be enough, and really the pressure is in your head, but the pressure can build so much that it may be too much for a person to carry. It may be too much of a load for you to carry.
There's times where you feel like which is a ridiculous thought now that I think about it, but at the time, because I went through it, that you think to yourself that I'm really literally the only person feeling this feeling. I'm literally the only one going through this, and it's not true at all. I can promise you that's not true. But I even thought that, you know. I'm a pretty open-minded person, but even then, in my head at the time, I really thought I was the only one going through that. I thought I was the only one feeling those feelings.
Yeah.
Like no one was gonna be able to relate to that. But I'm saying, if you are a person who has anything, who understands, who's gone through that at all, even a little bit, I'm telling you, just trust me, you ain't the only one. There is someone out there that understands it, and you need to look for that person to talk to about it. Please do. If it's just us, reach out, you know, and you can reach out to us and talk about it if you want to. I mean that too. But you know, some of the causes, right? Back to what you were saying, like I know for me, some of the, you can say triggers or whatever you want to say, but I realized some of the times that my most downest, depressed times came from really just not pursuing my creative endeavors. When I'm not being creative, that's where I get depressed. And I just knew that I needed some kind of creative outlet. Things like this, talking to you, therapeutic stuff, you know, creating music, skating, even doing physical activity, working out. Those are the things that kept that depression at bay. And really, on a deeper level, it's just a matter of not being who I truly am. You know what I'm saying? That's what it really was about. I wasn't connecting with the thing that the things that make me the most happy. You know, that's where my depression was coming from. And honestly, that's about the only time I ever feel depressed is when I'm not doing those things, fulfilling creative endeavors. You know, getting in touch with my spiritual side and staying and maintaining that physical activity, maintaining my a healthy body. You know what I'm saying? Even eating the unhealthy food can lead to depression. At least for me, it does. A lot of times, if I continuously eat shitty food and just stuff that I know that's not healthy for me, eventually, I find myself getting a little depressed, a little sad, you know? And then mentally, I get into this habit of thinking bad thoughts about myself, you know? Knowing I could do better. But I get hard on myself saying, man, you could do better than this, you know? So those are some of the things that you should watch out for, is what causes it. Pay attention to what causes that for you, if you can. If you can get a hold of that, pay attention to that, you know? What are some other ways you think people can deal with it? With by themselves, as far as any kind of mental health? What are the ways that you can find a way to actually find a solution to that, if there is one?
Just by generally trying to live a balanced life. I say that because all things lead to balance. All well-being leads to balance. So if you just try to exercise balance in all areas of your life, just little by little, eventually I think that can lead to an overall balanced mentality, you know, a better state of being, you know, more clarity. So yes, that means things like eating a little bit, or making better choices with how you eat, doing a little bit of exercise every day. You know what I'm saying? Getting those endorphins going, your blood flow, you know what I mean? It's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health, you know, to get moving, get your blood flowing. Start breathing in fresh air, getting around some nature, you know what I mean? Getting around other people is a beautiful thing, you know what I mean? Like literally, I could, if I ever was having a bad day, I could just sit out here at the park and vibe out and just watch everything around me. Just watching other people probably put me in a better mental space, as long as they're in one. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's why, like, for me, just sitting back, people watching is a good way for me to cheer my mood up, because I'm just seeing, it's just the idea of, like, being happy is infectious. So when you see someone else smiling and having a good time, you tend to feel the same way.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like, like, for example, everybody, when they hear a baby laugh, for the most part, can't help but
who can't smile at that?
Inside,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just one good example. Or when you see a puppy, they run up to you and jumping and shit. You may be having a shitty day, but I guarantee you that energy coming from that happy, joyful puppy is gonna make you feel a little bit different. May put your guard down, make you realize it ain't so bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not everything in life is terrible. Because a lot of times in my life, I could have some of the worst things happening, but at the same time, there's a lot of great shit happening to it at that very fucking moment. But I have to sit down and pay attention to notice it in order to understand that, or to see that.
No doubt.
So take time to slow down and look at your environment. You know, practicing mindfulness is another way to help you deal with mental health issues, I think, because by being mindful, you're more aware of your body, you're more aware of your state of being, you're more aware of what's going on in your mind. And if you can do that, you start being able to find better ways to cope, or at least redirect that energy. You know what I'm saying? Find a positive outlet. If you have things going on in life, if you got a ton of shit on your plate, you got to work, you got kids, you got bills, you got this, you got that,
which we all do.
Find a way to organize your life. Find a way to organize it. Do little bit by little, and then just keep moving. Don't worry about the shit that goes wrong. If it goes wrong, keep pushing. Because chances are you'll figure out a way later on how to deal with that too. But if you sit,
or it might clear itself up.
Or it'll work itself out.
Too, right.
Often that's the way it works. But if you sit and waste time worrying about every little thing that goes wrong you won't be able to move forward, and then you'll be moving in circles.
Yeah.
Because you're too caught up in what's going on.
For you overthinkers out there, right? For the people who overthink, and I tend to be at times too. That's another thing that kind of makes me get into that depressive mode. You know what I'm saying? From the overthinking.
Being in your head too much is another way.
Being in your head way too much.
At least the depression and anxiety.
Right.
I guarantee you that, because I've gone through that too.
Right.
But there was a year in my life, one time I was going through anxiety so tough that I think that whole year I rarely knew what it was like to ever really have a whole 4 hours of sleep. I literally, that was the pattern I was stuck in. The night before I go to sleep, I knew I had work in the morning, so I worried about work and how I'm gonna get there and bills and everything else. Think about my daughter, think about this, and now I'm gonna do this. By the time my alarm goes off, I've been up all night thinking. Now I'm exhausted. Still gotta go to work.
Right.
Now I'm in a shitty mood. You know what I mean? Like
it's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
You know, and then anxiety just keeps building on because instead of actually dealing with anything, I'm just obsessing on it, and the pressure just keeps building. So that's what I say, stay the fuck out of your head first and foremost. If there's something that you got to be dealing with, don't sit here and obsess about how you're going to deal with it. Just do it. Just act. Just acting is what helps alleviate anxiety too. Action alleviates it helps you stay away from even being able to sit and overthink a situation.
It breaks
that
circuit.
So just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
For sure. So yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Charleston White.
For real, we all go through this shit, man. Everybody going through something, that's for goddamn sure. And we don't always talk about it. So I say this to say, don't judge nobody for nothing they're going through, and don't make fun of them. Don't even fucking go there. If you don't have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. It's not a good time to be making fun of people when they're going through some real shit emotionally. Grow the fuck up. If you can't say nothing supportive, just keep it pushing. It's even easier.
It's definitely
you don't know
easier,
what the hell people be going through, so don't judge them and don't try to antagonize them. And don't try to force people to try to talk about it. If they don't feel like they don't seem like they're ready to talk about it, leave them be. Give them space to fucking process it. Let them know you're there. If you really give a fuck about them, let them know you're there. Leave them be. And out of love, let them come to you to tell you about it if they want to. Otherwise, just be there for them. Let them know you're there. That's what I suggest. We all going through something that nobody knows about. So allow them the space to grieve and process their shit in a healthy way. All right?
So if you guys got anything valuable out of this, I'm asking you, please share this with somebody who can find value out of this. You know, like this video so the algorithm can share it with more people. Share this video, like it. Most of all, subscribe and comment on this video. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know if you have other techniques or other type of ways and options of how to deal with what we're talking about here. If you relate, let us know. Let us know in the comments. If you don't relate, let us know in the comments, okay? And subscribe to the channel so that way we can keep building this community and we can keep the connections with people who are like-minded like us, right? Please do.
Let's do it. Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate everybody that tuned in, for even taking the time to look at this and see what we're talking about.
Greatly appreciate it.
If you connected with us, let us know in the comments. I appreciate the energy. Yeah, I love you, and I love myself. Well, I'm able to love you because I love myself. So take some time, make the effort to love yourself for yourself. Peace.
Yeah.